Hi, this is Neville Douglas from Ashanti Dutch Property Letting. It's the 15th of May 2014. We're back at the same property again, the one where we've got, obviously for those who haven't seen the first part of the video, we had water penetrating through the brickwork. So now what we're going to do is, I've applied the cream to the brickwork, as you can see over there, and I've put on the tubes once again. And what we're going to then do, and they're called carstone tubes or carstone tubes. What we're going to do is we're going to fill these with water again. It's very hard to see, so apologies for that. And then I'm going to write it on a chart. So what you'll get is you'll get the results from the chart as opposed to watching the water go through the tubes. I did it in the first part of the video, so if you have a look at that, or part one as it's going to be known, because this is quite a long test. Then what we're going to do is we're going to compare the results. This wall, the wall, as you can see there with the marks are, it's all been treated with the paint, and that was done a few weeks ago. So we're going to come back. So what you have there is you've got tube 1, I don't know if you can see that one, or area 1. We've got area 2, you can see that one pretty good, area 3. And down here we've got area 4, which is on the vertical mortar joint or compo joint or whatever you want to call it. That was quite absorbent as well. So we're going to come back and we're going to have a look to see how absorbent that is. The reason that we're doing that is because if you look up there, we have the gable end where the bathroom is, and that's where a lot of water is going in around the window. Now if you look at the thermal image that I've taken of that as well, which I shall put in with the slide, you'll see that there's a lot of water going in to the left, to the right and above the window, which confirms or is correlated on the inside of the building. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the cream, and I've got then 45 minutes to sit around and monitor the results, and I'll write them down and I'll feed them back into the video. We were going to put the cream on today, but unfortunately it's clouded over, as you can see, and the only problem is that the cream is water dissolvable, so until it dries obviously, and so therefore if we put it on and it starts to rain, then we've wasted the time, the fact that we've got scaffolding up there, and also money as well. So we're just going to wait until it is a bit more sunnier before we apply the cream. Okay, that's it, bye for now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this one up so you can see how you fill it up. Obviously what you try and avoid is getting too many bubbles in there and also going above the fill line. So let's have a look. Don't know if you can see that. Okay, so we're nearly there. So that is in the course. As you can see, I don't know if you can see it, the water level is still going down, and that's treated that. So that's still very, very porous, so we might need a second application, but that's what's happening with that particular one. With the others, I've filled those, and those are on the brickwork. You can see, I don't know if you can see that, there you go where my hand is. You can see that that one's not draining out. This one here, we have a little bit of water movement. I don't know if you can see the line on my finger. And the third one, don't know if you can see that. Let me get something else. This isn't looking as good as I thought it was. There you go. Can you see that now? No, it's still a bit difficult. Let me see if I can find something. Well, you can see that, obviously you can see that line there. So it's moved a little bit, but not as much as the other ones. So I shall come back to those. Right, we're talking virtually, the time is nearly up, so I'm just showing you my watch there so you can see it. It's in rounds. We're going to go, let me just adjust the lens a little bit here. Right, so we're going to go back to these carstone tubes and take them off now. I'll let you have a look to see if you can see the water level in there before I do. But firstly, let me just get a bit of paper so I can put it behind, and then we're going to remove the tubes and obviously put them away. The results have been pretty good, and I shall post those as well. So, tube number 1. I don't know if you can see that. Probably can, yeah. A bit too close for you there, but I think you can see that. It's virtually, there's been no absorption, so I'll pull back a little bit so you can see the mark on the wall there. Tube number 1. I'll put the paper here so you can see where it is. So the top of the paper, that's where the fill line is, and it's still full, so that's really good. Tube number 2, if we look at that one there, you can see number 2. If you look at the full line there, let me just see if I can switch this to macro. Bear with me a second. So I've switched it over to macro now. I don't know if that's made a difference, if you can see that. I can't really tell myself, to be honest. Let me just, there we go. So yes, so it does work. So that piece of paper is where the top of the line is. So you can see it's gone down a little bit. That's tube number 2. You can't see that now because I've got the macro lens in place. If you go back to tube number 1, you can see that if you go in there, you can see that's where the water line is. If we come down to tube number 3, I'm just telling you this, I think 3 is on the wall there anyway, but we can see where the water line is for that one there. You can see that it's gone down by about 1 mark. Number 4, I don't need to really go into that. That's where the water is. It's been filled up that many times and it's emptied that many times. I'm not even going to bother with it anymore. So we need to put a bit more on the mortar joint, which is something to consider once we start to apply it to the gable end, that we need to put a bit more on the mortar joint. Having said that, we probably won't have to in this case, because the rest of the brickwork to the gable end, which is up there, I'll switch back out of macro mode. Gosh, there we go. So sorry about that, I'll come back over here. In regards to the brick joint, that has absorbed a lot of water. Whether or not we'll have to do it up here, I don't think so, because obviously the gable end has been repointed previously, so the cement is a lot better. So, you know, it's one of those things that if you're repointing it, there is an additive, or there are additives that you can put into the mortar joint, because it's still going to be more porous than the bricks, because obviously the bricks have been fired, whereas the mortar joint is going to be set using ordinary Portland cement. So it's worthwhile putting some sort of additive into the mortar joint, just to give yourself a little peace of mind and some time as well. So I'm going to pull these tubes off now. They're quite straightforward. Empty the water out, pack everything away and go home. So number 1 comes off. All you do to remove them is you grab it like that, move it around a little bit, and you can see the water coming off there. And it's putty, which obviously fixes onto the brickwork, and that's what it is. So I'm going to do the 3 off and give them a clean, and that's it. This is Neville Douglas signing off. 21st of May 2014. We're back at the subject property where they're applying the cream, the Storm Guard cream, to the gable end. So I'm just going to whiz the camera around so we can see what they're doing. And they've done most of it, to be honest. It's just near the bottom bits, so that's what they're going to be doing next. So let's have a quick whiz around. Don't know if you can see it from there. If you can tell, it's got a bit of a whitish covering. That dries clear, and they just got to do that area there and the area under the window. Once it's dried, I'm going to come back. I'm going to get my thermal camera out and go over that site again, just to see if it makes a difference in regards to temperature, and also after it's rained I'm going to come back as well just to see whether or not we've got the if there's any penetration. There shouldn't be, because they're going over the courses as well, so they're getting the paint in the coursework as well, just to ensure that there is no water penetration there as well. So that's it, we're nearly done now. Right, this is Neville Douglas. This is the 15th of June 2014. We're back at the subject property again, having a look at the gable end, which we've treated with the cream. It's now raining. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning, something like that. Obviously the date will be on the video, and I've just been back with a thermal camera. It rained overnight. England lost their first match, which was a shame. But anyway, we've been back to the property, had a look at it, and we've used the camera on it, and I'm going to show you the images from the camera, in the sense that there's a uniform sort of glow from the wall, which is a thermal loading, but there doesn't seem to be any water penetration in any of the mortar joints, so it's quite consistent. I came out yesterday evening to try and get a nighttime shot as well, but obviously the building was still thermally loaded from the day, because it was quite a warm day. So I've come out early in the morning, and the building is still thermally loaded as well. but there is no penetration of where rainwater might have got through the coursework as before. So that's it really. I'm going to show the download the images onto the computer and then put them into a report, so I'll discuss the report as I'm going along. This is the 16th of June 2014. Okay, what I'm going to do initially is go through the results for the penetrating water through the brickwork. So basically what we're going to be looking at is the results that I got initially when I did them on the 15th of May, and then we're going to look at the results I got recently. I was going to scan all of the results and stick them on a separate video and have them coming in as slides and things like that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to show them to you here. I'm going to whiz the camera around, show you the results I've got from the latest thermal image which was done the other day, and that's it really. I'm just going to wind everything up. So this is not going to be a long video because I've done enough on it and I've spoken enough on the subject, and to be honest, I'm getting to the point where I've had enough as well. So this is sheet number 1, and that was done on the 15th, as you can, the 1st of the 5th 2014. You can see there that was showing one of the areas on the carstone tube where the water was penetrating the brickwork, and as you can see, as you work your way along, you can see that over a period of an hour there was more water being absorbed into the brickwork. So that was area number 1. We did area number 2, as you can see there in the red. It dipped initially, and then after that it stayed quite consistent, to be honest. So there wasn't a lot of, there wasn't a lot of water absorption with that particular brickwork. It's alright, I've just got a fan on because it's a bit warm in here. Area 3, as you can see there, that was another area that we looked at, and you can see that there was a lot of water absorbency there. That's area 3 in regards to another brick again. This is the mortar joint, so you can see we filled it up, and within a few minutes, 5 minutes, all the water ran out. So there again, you can see we filled it up, it ran out, filled it up. That was a mortar joint. So there was a lot going on there. What I have done is, and I know these are all hand sketches and stuff, I could do PowerPoints and all the rest of that, but I haven't got time, is all of the results put together. So you can see that the brickwork is quite porous in regards to the mortar joint and all the other things which are going on with that. So what I did was I went back on the 15th, let me just have a look, yeah, on the 15th, after the brickwork had been treated, I went back to the test areas, and that's in video number 4, I think it is, and part of it is in video number 5. Went back to the site again, and we applied the carstone tubes and back to the same areas, and these are the results. So on the 15th, you can see there that there's no water absorption there. And when I say we went back and applied the cream on the same day that we did the first test, I applied the cream then, and then I went back, so it's 15 days later, I went back and then we tested the areas where I applied the cream from. So that's area number 1. I don't know if you noticed before, that went along, it went down a little bit. Area number 2, it initially started to absorb water, and then it leveled off, so that was quite a good result for that one. Area number 3 is the same, initial absorption, and then it leveled off. And as you can see, that is the mortar joint, so you can see that water was going in, it was being absorbed. What you have to bear in mind that this result is taken from the boundary wall at the back of the premises, where the brickwork or the mortar joint hasn't been repointed. Now on the gable end, the mortar joint has the gable end that has been treated with the cream. The mortar joint has been it's been repointed basically. So you're going to get a completely different reaction there because of the fact that it's been repointed with ordinary Portland cement. So it's going to get a different reaction. So this is based on the old lime mortar, which has been in there for probably the life of the building, which is, I would say, nearly 100 years, if not 100 years. So, you know, from the results I've got there, it's quite encouraging in regards to the cream. I'm going to whiz the camera around now so we can have a look at the thermal image that I took I went there yesterday, which was the 15th, and I think it was 7:45 in the morning. The building still has a bit of thermal loading in the sense that it's still quite warm from the night before. We've had a good few days of warm weather, but there's no patterning around the brickwork as such where there was before. It had rained the night before as well, so I was looking to see if there was any absorbency around that area in regards to you would have the brickwork would be a darker colour, obviously, where water had been absorbed, and this is an exposed gable end as well. So it was just to see if there was any water that had been absorbed around those areas, and from the thermal image that I've got at the moment, there doesn't look to be any absorption of moisture in the brickwork. So what I can do is say that's as far as I'm going to go in regards to testing this building. We've applied the cream and we've removed the scaffolding now. The manufacturers, I know someone commented about the fact that, you know, we're using modern cements and we're using modern plasters, and he's right, this gentleman, in the sense that, you know, buildings, I suppose you could say, were made to breathe, and we're using a lot of modern materials, and so we're reducing that, as well as the fact that we're sealing buildings with UPVC doors and windows. They're on trickle vents. The chimney breasts are getting seized up. The chimney breasts are getting sealed up. We're not having coal fires that we used to, so there's not as much draft going through the buildings and drying them out. We tend to keep our doors closed more so nowadays than we used to years and years ago, and they are all sealed as well, whereas before we had the wooden windows and doors, so there was a lot more ventilation. We're introducing more heat to the building in regards to central heating systems, and also on top of that people are drying clothes on the radiators, introducing moisture to the building once again. They're cooking more in the sealed building again. We've got showers, people shower more, and they bath more as well. So when you consider all of those factors going into a building, you're going to have a building which is going to contain and hold more moisture than it used to. And then on top of that, we have rendering on some of the buildings. There isn't on this particular one. But when you consider all of these things and these modern materials that we're using, we are sealing these buildings and causing problems for ourselves. In this particular case, it was just a matter of water penetration, and you know, I've had someone say we should have used lime plaster on there, and you're probably right. Years and years ago, lime plasters used to go on the inside, and they were more of a sacrificial covering as such. So, you know, they were meant to come off after a period of time once they've absorbed all of the moisture. Having said that, we tend to plaster with more permanence in mind. We've got fitted bathrooms which we never used to have before. We've got tiles on top of that. So we want I suppose you could say, some kind of rendering on the inside which is a lot more permanent, so it's not made to sacrifice like the lime plasters were years and years ago. Is it right or is it wrong? I don't know. That's something for you to comment on. I know I tend to do properties for rental, and so the clients expect a certain standard and they expect a certain amount of comfort and luxury. And I suppose if I was just rendering buildings and putting lime plaster on there and not tiling and saying that this is going to be a sacrificial plaster, so we're going to be chopping it off every few years, one, it would increase the costs. Two, I don't think the tenants would be too happy about that. So that's it basically. I've done what I can do. I will monitor it, and if anything else comes up, I shall get back to you. I know someone commented about the fact that, you know, we're using modern cements and we're using modern plasters, and he's right, this gentleman, in the sense that, you know, buildings, I suppose you could say, were made to breathe, and we're using a lot of modern materials, and so we're reducing that, as well as the fact that we're sealing buildings with UPVC doors and windows. They're on trickle vents. The chimney breasts are getting seized up. The chimney breasts are getting sealed up. We're not having coal fires that we used to, so there's not as much draft going through the buildings and drying them out. We tend to keep our doors closed more so nowadays than we used to years and years ago, and they are all sealed as well, whereas before we had the wooden windows and doors, so there was a lot more ventilation. We're introducing more heat to the building in regards to central heating systems, and also on top of that, people are drying clothes on the radiators, introducing moisture to the building once again. They're cooking more in the sealed building again. We've got showers, people shower more, and they bath more as well.
So when you consider all of those factors going into a building, you're going to have a building which is going to contain and hold more moisture than it used to. And then on top of that, we have rendering on some of the buildings. There isn't on this particular one. But when you consider all of these things and these modern materials that we're using, we are sealing these buildings and causing problems for ourselves. In this particular case, it was just a matter of water penetration. And you know, I've had someone say we should have used lime plaster on there. And you're probably right. Years and years ago, lime plasters used to go on the inside, and they were more of a sacrificial covering as such. So you know, they were meant to come off after a period of time once they've absorbed all of the moisture. Having said that, we tend to plaster with more permanence in mind. We've got fitted bathrooms which we never used to have before. We've got tiles on top of that. So we want I suppose you could say, some kind of rendering on the inside which is a lot more permanent, so it's not made to sacrifice like the lime plasters were years and years ago. Is it right or is it wrong? I don't know. That's something for you to comment on. I know I tend to do properties for rental, and so the clients expect a certain standard and they expect a certain amount of comfort and luxury. And I suppose if I was just rendering buildings and putting lime plaster on there and not tiling and saying that this is going to be a sacrificial plaster, so we're going to be chopping it off every few years, one, it would increase the costs. Two, I don't think the tenants would be too happy about that. So that's it basically. I've done what I can do. I will monitor it, and if anything else comes up, I shall get back to you. Okay, so this is the image that I was talking about in the video. I'll try and get a little bit closer for you. As you can see there, as you look around the window, that's where the damp was penetrating before, or the rain was penetrating before. I wouldn't say damp, but rainwater was penetrating before. As we get a little closer, you can see that there doesn't seem to be any sign, whereas previously you could see that the water or the rain that was penetrating around this window here was bright orange, and the rest of the brickwork was a dark blue, sort of that colour there. I've gone quite early in the morning after it has rained all night, and there is no signs of any water penetration around this area here or above the top. You know, the brickwork's been treated, so I've done as much as I can do really. And that's it. So I'm just going to keep my eye on it. If anything else comes from it as a result, if I get hold of the thermal camera again and I go back in a few months' time or over the winter when it's been raining for weeks on end, then I'm probably going to have another look and just double check. Having said that, the manufacturer said that the cream is guaranteed for 20 years, and also there was a good application on the day by the guys that were doing the work. So that's it. This is Neville Douglas signing out and putting everything to bed, so to speak.